Is Lord Garmadon basically the Darth Vader of Ninjago? As a lifelong fan of both Star Wars and Ninjago, I've often asked myself this question. In my opinion, the answer is a resounding yes. Garmadon's character arc in Ninjago mirrors Darth Vader's journey in Star Wars in so many striking ways. Both are former heroes turned fearsome villains. Both have deeply personal family conflicts at the heart of their story, and both even find a path to redemption, albeit in different ways. Today, I want to share my personal take on why Garmadon truly feels like Ninjago's own Darth Vader, backed by the actual moments and lore from both franchises that make the comparison so compelling. This is going to get nostalgic, so buckle up. First, consider their origins. Garmadon wasn't always an evil warlord. He began life as the thoughtful, caring elder son of the first spinjitzu master and the beloved brother of Sensei Wu. Similarly, Anakin Skywalker, who becomes Darth Vader, started out as a heroic Jedi Knight and war hero before his fall. Both characters were essentially good people, corrupted by evil influences. In Garmadon's case, he was literally poisoned by evil. As a child, he was bitten by the Great Devourer, a venomous serpent, which slowly corrupted his heart and set him on a dark path. In Anakin's case, he was figuratively poisoned by the dark side, manipulated by Emperor Palpatine, and twisted by his own fear and anger until he became a Sith Lord. What's really fascinating is how both men's turns to evil culminated in a dramatic duel with someone they loved. Garmadon eventually tried to steal the golden weapons of Spinjitzu for himself, and in the ensuing showdown, brother fought brother, Garmadon versus Wu, in a battle that ended with Garmadon's defeat. In a flash of lightning summoned by the weapons, young Garmadon was struck down and banished to the underworld, his body left scarred and charred. Meanwhile, in Star Wars, Anakin Skywalker dueled his former mentor and brother figure, Obi-Wan Kenobi, on Mustafar. Obi-Wan won, leaving Anakin horribly burned and near death, which directly led to Anakin needing the black life support armor that is synonymous with Darth Vader. The parallel is almost one-to-one. After their fateful duels, both Garmadon and Anakin emerged reborn as Dark Lords, physically and emotionally transformed. In fact, Ninjago itself nods to this parallel. It's explicitly noted that after their defeats, Garmadon gained red eyes and charred skin, while Vader donned his infamous life-sustaining suit. It doesn't stop there. Both men claimed positions of great power in their respective worlds. Darth Vader became the Emperor's enforcer, the Dark Commander of the Galactic Empire. Garmadon, after being banished to the underworld, took over as the evil warlord of that realm, seizing control of the Skulken, skeleton army, and later, aligning with the Serpentine and other villains. Each became the primary archenemy of the heroes. Even their aesthetics and presence draw parallels. A towering dark figure feared by even his own subordinates. It's well known that Imperial officers tremble when Vader enters a room, and likewise Ninjago's skeleton generals cower when Garmadon glares at them. A huge part of what makes both Garmadon and Vader so memorable is the personal family drama entwined with their villainy. Both are fathers who eventually have to face their own child in battle. Darth Vader's revelation, "No, I am your father," to Luke Skywalker, is one of the most iconic moments in cinematic history. In Ninjago, the dynamic was set up differently, but with a similar emotional weight. From early on, we learn that Lloyd Garmadon is Lord Garmadon's son, and a prophecy foretells that the Green Ninja will rise to defeat the Dark Lord, fated to be a son versus father showdown. Sure enough, Lloyd turns out to be the prophesied Green Ninja, meaning he's destined to confront his own father in an ultimate battle. This destiny creates a very Luke and Vader-like tension throughout Ninjago's early seasons. Lloyd doesn't want to fight his father, he just wants his dad back, and Garmadon, despite all his darkness, has conflicted feelings towards his son. This mirrors Star Wars in a big way. In Return of the Jedi, Luke insists that there is good in him when talking about Vader, believing his father can be saved. Luke's compassion is the key to Vader's redemption. In Ninjago, we see a similar hope from Lloyd and those who love Garmadon. Even when Garmadon was at his worst, traces of his old self peek through. Notably, he could never bring himself to truly harm Lloyd. In one episode, Garmadon actually teams up with Sensei Wu to rescue Lloyd from danger, despite being enemies. He even thanks his brother for taking care of Lloyd in his absence, showing that some part of him still cared. These moments strongly reminded me of Vader's internal conflict in Star Wars. Just as Vader couldn't kill Luke when he had the chance, Garmadon's love for his son survived even the darkest corruption. The Ninjago writers cleverly reinforce this parallel with direct homages. For example, at one point Garmadon is asked about his brother Wu's whereabouts, and he declares, "That name no longer holds any meaning for me," echoing almost exactly Darth Vader's famous line denying his former identity, Anakin. As a fan, hearing that line in Ninjago was a chills moment. It was like Garmadon himself was aware he was following in Vader's dark footsteps. Ultimately, both father-son duos have an epic confrontation filled with emotion. In Lloyd and Garmadon's final battle, Season 2's finale of Ninjago, Lloyd doesn't fight out of hate. He fights out of duty and love, hoping to save his father from evil. Similarly, Luke facing Vader on the second Death Star isn't about revenge. It's about trying to redeem his father. Both sons fulfill its destiny. Lloyd defeats Garmadon in their showdown as the prophecy foretold, and Luke defeats Vader in a lightsaber duel, at least until the Emperor intervenes. But more importantly, both refuse to completely destroy their fathers, choosing mercy over hate. This choice is crucial. It leads to redemption in both stories. Here is where Garmadon's story and Vader's story both converge and diverge a bit. In Return of the Jedi, Vader famously turns back to the light at the very end. He cannot stand by and watch his son be killed by the Emperor, so he sacrifices himself to save Luke, destroying the Emperor in the process. It's a powerful redemption, but it comes at the cost of Vader's life. Anakin Skywalker dies a redeemed hero, having been brought back by his son's faith in him. In Ninjago, Garmadon's redemption plays out differently, but with the same heartfelt impact, and I would argue an even more hopeful twist. When Lloyd, as the Golden Ninja, defeated the Overlord, the ultimate evil who was using Garmadon as a puppet, the darkness in Garmadon was purged from him. Garmadon was not killed. Instead, he was cleansed of evil and reverted to the man he once was, essentially giving him a second chance at life. I remember watching that back in 2013 and being amazed. It was as if Darth Vader got to survive and spend more time with Luke after turning good. An incredibly satisfying scenario for fans who always wondered what if Vader had lived. Garmadon gets that what if after the final battle. He becomes Master Garmadon, a normal, kind man who tries to atone for his past. We see him awkwardly trying to be a loving father to Lloyd and even helping the ninja as an ally. It's a redemption and aftermath that the Star Wars saga never got to explore with Vader. So in a way, Ninjago gave us a glimpse of how it might have been, and it was heartwarming. Garmadon taught the ninja, gave Lloyd a hug he'd been longing for, and proved that no one's fate is sealed. Even the darkest Lord can find the light again. That's not to say everything was sunshine and rainbows forever. This is a Ninjago story after all. Twists abound. In a later plot twist, Garmadon is revived into an evil form once more, long after his initial redemption. This resurrected Garmadon in seasons 8 to 10 is basically Garmadon's Vader without Anakin, a version of him with the good completely stripped out. It took the idea of Vader and asked, what if the good man never came back? As a fan, I found this development both fascinating and heartbreaking. On one hand, it cemented how much Garmadon is like Vader. He literally says things like only the role of destroyer remained in him, having lost all love for his son. On the other hand, it made me appreciate the original redemption arc even more. Don't worry, even in this dark state, bits of Garmadon's love for Lloyd still eventually shine through. He can't escape the Vader-like conflict with his son. I won't delve too deep into those later seasons here, since the core Vader-esque journey of Garmadon really happened in the earlier seasons. But it's amazing, and kind of meta, that Ninjago explicitly played with the Vader parallel by showing us an even darker what-if scenario. Looking at everything, I think it's clear that yes, Garmadon is the Darth Vader of Ninjago. The creators of Ninjago knew exactly what they were doing. They took that timeless trope of a hero's fall and redemption and wove it into their own world, even sprinkling in direct Star Wars references for eagle-eyed fans, from famous quotes to obvious homages. Both characters are epic, tragic figures, and both bring a dramatic, emotional weight to their stories that elevates them beyond just the bad guy. Garmadon and Vader are the kind of villains we feel sympathy for, even as they terrify us. They're family men at war with themselves. They're the dark reflections of the heroes, and when they finally find redemption, it hits you right in the heart. Every time, I get chills thinking of Vader saving Luke, or Garmadon embracing his son after being cleansed of evil. In my personal view, Garmadon stands as a loving tribute to Darth Vader's legacy. He's not a one-for-one copy, of course, but the parallels are undeniable, and they make Ninjago feel like this grand, mythic saga akin to Star Wars. As a kid, I was a fan of Star Wars first, and when I got into Ninjago, I immediately felt that same kind of magic in Garmadon's storyline. It's the classic tale of fall, conflict, and redemption, told in a new way. So, is Garmadon the Darth Vader of Ninjago? Absolutely. And honestly, Ninjago wouldn't be the same without its Dark Lord in black, looming in the shadows and ultimately finding the light. Just as Star Wars would not be the same without Vader, Ninjago's heart and drama have always been tied to the complex saga of Garmadon. In the end, his story proves that no matter how far someone falls, there's always hope for redemption, a lesson both franchises share and one of the big reasons we love them. The Ninjago creators have even acknowledged the intentional similarities, with direct quotes, e.g. Garmadon quoting, "That name no longer has any meaning," echoing Star Wars and fun Easter eggs peppered throughout. All these moments solidify Lord Garmadon's status as the Darth Vader of Ninjago, a villain who's not just a faceless enemy, but a fully realized character with a heroic past and a redeemable heart. And that, more than anything, is why we fans adore his story. May the Force, or should I say, the power of Spinjitzu, be with you, always.